Critical reflection has a long-standing tradition in social work. We often talk about critical reflection as in the individual process of considering ourselves in relationship to our work, and critical reflexivity, when we make the idea of reflection more complicated by adding dimensions of theory and also engaging in a group process of reflection where we're inviting our understandings to be compared to those of other people, other social workers, as a way of benchmarking the meaning of our own reflection. Neoliberalism has made the process of reflection and reflexivity a little bit more complicated. The spaces like staff meetings or staff retreats that used to be available for social workers to engage in critical reflection and reflexivity in the context of our practice have largely been made to disappear. There aren't resources or time allocated for this kind of connection. And when we do have a chance to meet with our supervisor and connect with them, most of our supervision gets focused on things like administrative requirements. So while social work reflexivity remains of value within our profession, it's getting more complicated to engage in the process. I've spent about the last 10 years examining or engaging in inquiry into why it is that social workers might choose to do something like use YouTube to tell a story about social work. And I've largely drawn the conclusion that as the places and spaces for reflection and reflexivity disappear within the workplace, social workers are looking for some other place or some other space to engage in this kind of storytelling and reflection. And so I guess I'd like to propose that social work and social workers might choose to use digital storytelling and the internet as a place and a space where they might gain voice in order to tell the stories that they want to tell and engage in the reflection they want to engage in. Undertaking this kind of consideration or careful examination allows us to think about what it is that we're doing and how it is that what we're doing might be received by other people. It gives us a chance to interrogate some of the work that we're doing and some of the experiences of our clients, and to think about how these relate to the social justice goals of social work and to things like marginalization and oppression and equity. And so thinking and reflecting might give us an opportunity to discover or to carefully consider where it is that we might be able to insert more anti-oppressive or social justice-based practice within our own work. The critical in critical reflexivity comes from the idea that we're using theory or applying theory to a particular scenario, case experience, feeling, or process in order to develop a more complicated or complex understanding of those processes. So theory can help us deconstruct and understand what's happening for us, what's happening for clients, and how we can make things different. Digital stories are meant to be personal narratives, and so there is someone who has a voice who is telling the story. The voice isn't a disembodied social work voice, it's an embodied voice. Some methods or models demand that the storyteller show themselves or identify themselves within the story, and we don't have any expectations of that. If you were to complete a workshop with Digital Story Toronto or the Center for Digital Storytelling in California, where the model was really originally developed, you'd be expected to include a photo of yourself within the story, but we don't have that expectation. So you decide how you want to represent yourself, knowing that it's important to allow your voice to belong to someone rather than to be a royal we or a royal us. The final concept that I'd like us to consider is the idea of genre. So genres are methods of applying particular sets of meaning to storytelling. A genre holds a particular set of complex or complicated meanings that can be applied to something that gives meaning to the overall story or process. So for example, you could have a genre of a fairy tale starting with the phrase once upon a time and usually ending with the phrase happily ever after. You can have a sci-fi genre or film noir where the images that are included are impartial and where there's lots of shadows and ambivalent images within the context of the video. You could have a country and western or a story that's a mystery. And so genres help us organize the way in which we want to tell a story without necessarily having to explain some truisms or some tropes that are understood by audiences who are familiar with the particular genre. I hope this brief summary was helpful to you all, and I hope you have fun at the workshop. Jen's a great facilitator, and I'm sure you'll enjoy yourself and learn a few things along the way. But most of all, I hope that you have a little bit of fun doing this more unusual kind of approach to critical reflection and reflexivity. Jen is going to show a couple of sample videos now that will illustrate some of the points that I've made, and I hope that you find these helpful.